Well, this Sunday, a chance for families who've experienced loss to come together and get support. The event is called Hope and Healing to remember a loved one who has died by homicide, suicide, or some kind of accident. Now, the event is put on by the Hosparus Grief Counseling Center. Hundreds are expected at the Muhammad Ali Center. And joining me now to talk about it, we have Shaun Alexander, who lost her son in a car accident 2 years ago. Amy Sloboda, the Director of Grief Counseling Services. And thank you, ladies, so much for coming. We appreciate it. First, our sympathy, of course, for your loss. And you said the first year after this accident, you ended up going. Was it helpful for you?
It was very much helpful for me. I think it was the beginning of my healing process.
And we were talking during the break, and you said you believe that is going to be a lifelong process.
Yes, ma'am, I do, until the day I pass away.
Tell me about your sweet son.
He was charismatic. He was an outgoing young man, just learning his way in life. You know, the average 20-year-old kid coming home from work one day and didn't make it. So it's been a life-changing event. Now,
Amy, when people come, there's a remembrance ceremony, because oftentimes when someone loses someone, people who are their friends and loved ones aren't exactly sure what to say. Is there any advice you can give people on what they should say?
I think just listening, being a listening person, and also wanting to hear the name of the person who died. Oftentimes people are afraid to bring them up.
But you were beaming when you were talking about your son.
Yes.
So it's okay to ask.
It is. It is more than okay. Actually, that's a great approach. Instead of, you know, the opposite, you know, how sorry you are, just tell me about them. You know, I think that in ourselves, their spirit is still alive, so they're never dead.
Right.
You know, so I think it's important that your support group knows that as well.
Let's talk about how the day plays out when people come. They'd like you to register in advance if you can. It is free. People come, bring pictures, bring all sorts of things like that. Then tell us how the day plays out.
Yeah, so we have all kinds of art materials and actually food and music. So for the first, from 4 until about 5:30, 5:45, people have an opportunity to kind of create a memorial to their person who died, and we set up a big table so that you can even learn about other people's loved one and exchange stories.
And there's
really
a connectedness with that.
There very much is.
Absolutely.
You meet moms and dads that feel exactly the same way you do. Everybody's story is a little different, but the pain is the same, and that connection that you get is unmeasurable for the healing process.
And I was going to say, so they have that connectedness. Is there anything else that you're hoping these families get from that? And maybe if somebody's out there on the fence going, it would be my first time coming and I'm not sure, what would you say to them?
I think it takes a lot of courage to come, especially with the loss that's so tender, but knowing that it's really, it's not a particularly sad event, would you say? I mean,
I would not at all.
The emphasis isn't on the grief as much as on the life.
The celebration.
And so that's where speakers like Shaun come into play, where they're telling about how they started to re-engage in life after this loss.
So extremely helpful to other people. It might be that first step that
that's
they need.
the emphasis.
Thank you all so much. Really appreciate it. And thank you for coming and sharing your story and your son's story. Really appreciate it. Hope and Healing will be this Sunday, March the 11th at the Muhammad Ali Center. It begins at 4 with that remembrance ceremony, about 5:45. Again, you can register by calling the Hosparus Grief Counseling Center. That number is 456-5451 or 888-345-8197. And a reminder, it is this coming Sunday at the Ali Center.